and friends beyond the binary. Welcome to Step Back Tonight for today, October 19th, 2021. I'm your host, Tristan. I am the creator of the YouTube project Step Back and the co-host of the podcast It's Probably Not Aliens. You can find Step Back at stepbackhistory.com, and you can find It's Probably Not Aliens at probsnotaliens.com. I stream 2 times a week. On Monday, I do the Monday Discourse from 12 till 2. And then on Tuesday, which is with me, I'm older. And then on Tuesday nights, I do the stream you're watching right now from 7 to 9 called Step Back Tonight, where I go over the news, talk, hang out. Oh, and the microphone is pointed over there. This should be better. There we go. Yeah. And we go over the news, answer some questions, you know. Keep it real chill. Yeah. I go by He Him Pronouns, and if you want to support my work, you can go to patreon.com/stepbackhistory and get videos early for as little as 84 cents a month with a yearly subscription. And if you are so inclined and you have Amazon Prime, you do get 1 free Twitch Prime subscription per month that if you use on Step Back, I'd be very grateful. If you have a little bit of extra change rattling around your pocket, I of course would appreciate any super chats, bits, or Twitch subscriptions that you feel that you are that you feel comfortable with supporting me with. Yeah. And as far as content to look out for, my latest video is called I Was So Wrong About Conspiracy Theories. That's a fun video. I know it's a bit old now, but, you know, times are busy. And my next video on overpopulation is in progress. As everybody who's been watching my streams know, I have a big freelance contract I'm working on, and that should be finished tomorrow. And so that means that I could probably, inshallah, be finished editing the video by Friday, which means that probably like something like Tuesday or Monday or Tuesday next week, I might be able to get it out. Let's see, what else we got? Yeah, if you want to submit questions for future streams, I'm going to put a link in the chat. I hang on to questions for a month, but I am actually like running low on questions. After the questions I answer tonight, I'm only going to have 1 left for me on Monday, so if you have anything that's burning a hole in your brain and you really want us to jab on about it, we could use some content. And next up, also, if there's anybody who's new in the chat or this is their first time watching the stream, please make yourself known in the chat. This is a very, typically very vibrant and active chat. I don't know, it's kind of quiet today, but that's fine. Yeah. Make yourself known. We've got a great community going on here, and yeah, it's good times, good people. All right. Now let's see what else we got. That's everything I've got. So yeah. How are we all feeling tonight, everybody? Get the crowd warmed up a little bit. The alert just went out. Oh my. Like on Discord? Or on YouTube? How was my day so far? Good. My, what's it called? My life is a little hectic right now. I have a lot of work to complete between now and the end of December. And this freelance contract is just eating up so much of my time. And now I'm like hitting deadlines. And so today was a day where I was working as hard as I could to make sure that I did not get to a point where I was working after this stream was over. So today was stressful. This week is stressful because now, tonight, after the stream is over, I got to prep for D&D tomorrow because that's another thing that I do. So I got like an hour and a half before bedtime after the stream is over to just like rapidly put together a D&D session for my friends on Wednesday. So, but that's fun work. That's creative work. That I enjoy. You know, and I'm getting close to the end of this big freelance contract project. I have another one, but it's not until November, so at least I've got some time there to make a lot of progress on November's video before, you know, things get too spicy. Watched a few streams. I dated some Mikey, and I ask about Leia back and go by they. Cool. Nice to meet you, Mikey. Moved into a new house. That's pretty good. Have fun at your D&D session on Wednesday. Thanks. Yeah, because like here's the thing. I run at this moment. I am the DM of 3 Dungeons and Dragons games, which is normally fine because I only have one game that's once a week. I have one game that's every other week, and then I have a third game that's only like on an ad hoc basis. So on average, I think we probably meet up at once a month, maybe twice. So that's normally like, you know, fine. But I have all 3 of them this week, and they're all spaced out by exactly like one day. So like on, and usually like, you know, like, and I also decided to prep for D&D like at the last minute, like a chump. So like Monday I ran D&D, and I spent like a whole chunk of Sunday like scrambling to get it edited and get the session together. And then today, or then yesterday, Monday, I then did like the basic prep for the session, and now I'm gonna spend tonight like I do like one day I do the broad strokes, and the other day I do like all the little things like designing all the NPCs and making all the encounters. So I'm going to be spending tonight just like frantically making all of the NPCs and encounters and stuff for tomorrow. Wednesday, then I'm going to do the basic outline for the Friday game that I have that's just part of that ad hoc game. And then Thursday I'll be scrambling to get all of the stuff together for that. And on top of that, not only do I have like, you know, limited time for that stuff, but I have the games to run themselves on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday night, which means that I don't have the evening to work on those things. And Tuesday and Thursday night, I am either streaming or recording the It's Probably Not Aliens podcast. So I don't have a day off until like Saturday, where I'm not doing something from the moment I get up to the moment I go to bed. Isn't that lovely? Gotta love weeks like this. Let's see. Have I seen any 1920s cartoons? I feel like I've seen like some Felix the Cat cartoons when I was a kid, but that's about it. Don't stress yourself too much. No. This is fine. This is just a lot of things happening in one week. Once this week's over, I'm back to, you know, feeling a lot better. I just I felt weird because I haven't worked on a Step Back video in nearly, like, I haven't worked on Step Back content in nearly 3 weeks at this point. And this is probably the longest I've gone without making video, like working on a video in a very long time. And it's just because I've been doing this freelance contract for a nonprofit. So I will be happy to finish it tomorrow so that I can do the rest of the October Step Back video. Did I hear that Dennis Prager has COVID-19? I did. Yes, I did. Very funny. Every time somebody says that they attack wearing masks and getting vaccines and then catch COVID themselves, I think it's very funny. Especially someone like Dennis Prager, who has probably contributed to a serious amount of deaths because of his COVID denial bullshit. So that's interesting. All right. The first story I got for tonight actually has to do with, I don't have a whole lot of news for tonight, but I have been watching, I think everybody has been. Who's on that Squid Game grind, everybody? Has anyone else been watching that shit? Now, I'm only partway through the season, so I can't say too much, but it is wildly popular right now, and I'm like fighting to not get everything spoiled for me. So that's like my... so at the moment, though, I'm really enjoying it, or at least I'm enjoying it quite a bit, anyways. You just watched the 3rd episode. I just watched the 5th episode. Like, literally, when I was having supper tonight, I was watching the 5th episode. I've heard of Squid Game, but I don't know what it is. Oh, well, I can tell you about that. I can give you a non-spoiler thing. So essentially, it's a Korean drama that that basically is, for some reason, I don't even know the answer yet, but there seems to be some nefarious person or organization or something that has organized a game that is designed where they take the people who are sort of in a endless debt spiral. For some reason, they either owe a whole lot of money, or they're in like crippling poverty, or they have huge medical bills, or something like that that makes them extremely desperate for money. And then they take them to this like undisclosed location where they play 1 per day these games. And they're basically like kind of like, schoolyard children's games. The only thing is that if you lose, you die. And for everybody who dies, out of like the 200 and something people, or I don't remember, 400 and something people who are participating, every time somebody dies, the prize pool gets bigger for everybody who is a winner. So that's the like... That's like the idea of the show. And the thing is that sounds like a very silly premise, and I probably wouldn't have been interested in it, because, yeah, that's just like, there's a lot of Japanese games, or Japanese, it's Korean, but there's a lot of, like, Japanese TV shows that have stuff like that. Like, I think of things like Battle Royale and things like that. So it's, like, not like, it's not like a revolutionary new idea. But what I think is really interesting about it is that it, spends a lot of time, like, really spending time with the characters. There's a lot of, like, humanity, and, like they have entire episodes where there's no game. It's just the time between the games where all sorts of drama unfolds. There's, you see all sorts of different levels of humanity and desperation on display, and there's just, like, an unraveling mystery about, like, who is this person who is running these things? Why are they doing it? What the hell's going on? What's the motivation? All that kind of stuff. And also, this is like a very, very small spoiler, but also there's an undercover cop who's with like the kind of people working for the game, and you get to follow his like investigation into what's going on. Am I a sub or a dub guy? I am... Well, here's the thing. Because I know that I'm going to get eaten alive for this. But we have been watching the dub of the show. Primarily because my wife has visual impairment problems and can't really read subtitles too easily. So, we kind of have to have both the dub and the sub going at the same time so that she can follow along. Because she could follow the subtitles, but she'd have to, like, sit right in front of the TV, so, yeah. The acting is terrible in the dub, but it does what it does. I'm getting the story delivered to my eye holes. On your podcast, do you talk about the theory that the manna from heaven, the Bible, is delivered by a replicator? Yes. We have recorded an episode on the manna machine theory, I don't remember what episode it is going to come out, but it is one that we have recorded. But I have there are 18 episodes recorded. Like so, the most recent episode was episode 7. So there are 11 episodes that we have recorded but not edited and put up yet. So at some point there will be an episode on the Mana Machine. Yes. Uh-huh. Mana Machine? The Mana Machine is a book from the I want to say the 1970s. Whenever I don't know what a crackpot pseudo-archaeology thing is about, I just assume it's from the 70s, because that's when like a lot of that ancient astronaut bullshit was developed. But basically it's an idea that they claim that aliens visited the ancient Jews, and that the reason why in the Bible there's the story about people like surviving 40 years in the desert, right? Like that's part of the Bible story of Exodus. And there's a crackpot theory that the deliverance of manna, because in the Bible they survive because a substance called manna drops from heaven, which is like this sort of like weird like little bread pellets or whatever that they all eat a whole bunch of, but it expires like the next day except for the Sabbath. So like some people have theorized that it is like that they were given by aliens a machine that like uses a nuclear reactor to make to basically make like food from algae, is the main theory. And so that was what manna was. And yeah, it's a silly one. You'll be enjoying the pod. It helped me introduce me to your YouTube channel. Well, that's cool. I'm glad that you might be one of the first people who found my podcast first and my channel later. But that's really cool. I'm glad that you're enjoying the show. Because yeah, it's probably not aliens as a project that we have had in like we started recording it in April maybe. I think like late March, early April is when we recorded those first episodes, and we had been talking about it for a few weeks before that. So it's a project that I have been working on for most of 2021, and like I have been keeping it secret all of these months. Sometimes in the streams I've been referring to it as a secret project, but yeah, we've been working on it. So, and yeah, now that we've got 18 episodes recorded, so hopefully my paternity leave doesn't screw us over, and I'm recording another episode on Thursday about the Zuni people. I think that's the next one I'm recording. So the last episode we did was on the Dogon. The Dogon people. And then the one I did before that was on... I can't remember at this point. It's been a bit. So, and then also we're interviewing a astrobiologist in a few weeks too, so I'm pretty excited. Some cool stuff coming up. Does mana as a magical source in games come from the Polynesian word of the Bible? I would suspect the Bible. Well, because I have no idea about this, like, what's it called? This Polynesian mana. Okay, yeah. Mana among Melanesian and Polynesian peoples, a supernatural force or power that can be ascribed to persons, spirits, or inanimate objects. It's first used to describe what apparently was interpreted to be impersonal, amoral, supernatural power that manifests itself in extraordinary phenomenon and abilities. Well, there you go. Learn something new every day, I guess. But yeah, Squid Games has been to kind of get back onto Squid Games. That's it's been a very fun show. It does have, and someone just mentioned, it does have a sort of like weird also sense of humor about it. So I don't know. I'm having a good time with it. I'll probably have more to say when I actually like finish the season. But I also don't. The thing is, the hard part to talk about our sort of like asynchronous television diet these days is that it's hard to talk about anything at length because everybody's at different points in seeing it. So, you know, it's not like if you missed it, you want to get a recap because you're not going to be able to see it again until, like, you know, reruns start. But, yeah. Were you alluding to the racist theory of tribes that body modifications are alien hybrids? I have talked about that. I do. There's an entire episode of It's Probably Not Aliens that is focused on what's it called? Cranial deformation. Like the people who make their heads kind of coney. So yeah, I do talk about kind of stuff like that. White people do love to co-op stuff from brown people and butcher the meaning. Maybe. I was completely under the impression that it was taken from Exodus. That mana from like video games was developed from the idea of mana in the Bible. But obviously those seem to have different root sources. Yeah, second story we got here. We've got a story on Russia saying that it's suspending its mission to NATO in Brussels soon, in response to the expulsion of 8 diplomats accused of espionage from the mission earlier this month. The NATO Information Bureau and military liaison in Moscow will also be terminated. So this is like part of like a greater movement of Russia sort of like distancing itself from its Western allies that were made in sort of the post-Cold War moment, and coming to a closer relationship with, with China. Now as the world is starting to sort of divide itself into whether or not you're on the side of Washington or Beijing, that Russia has firmly said it's taking side Beijing. And so they have stopped, they're pulling their coordination with NASA. The Russians are, the cosmonaut program is, sorry, my nose is really itchy. The cosmonaut program is going to cease doing operations with NASA, which means they're going to leave the International Space Station, and they're going to work with China on their space program. Did I hear that China has hypersonic missiles? I did hear about that. I don't really know much about the significance of that, but yeah. Why does NATO exist post-Cold War? I made a video about that. That, you know, institutions have a habit of wanting to continue themselves even when their, you know, purpose has all but disappeared. But yeah. Man, if you guys are enjoying It's Probably Not Aliens, you guys have so much good content coming up. That was the whole purpose of the International Space Station, I know. But then again, also, the ISS is going to be, like, probably retiring soon. I don't know if you guys have followed this, but as far as space stations go, the ISS is now actually pretty old. And there's some evidence that has been discovered recently that the station has significant microfracturing damage. And with the Russians pulling out, it makes me think that we're not too far from them retiring the International Space Station. And instead of focusing on low Earth orbit stuff, I think NASA's now pushing for, because now we're like, we've got about 9 years until their planned Mars missions. I think they're going to be focusing their efforts on developing that. So their sort of like low Earth orbit shuttle-based thing is probably going to move to the side, and they're going to probably focus on like getting their moon operations up and going and getting to Mars and that kind of stuff. What kind of microfractures? Let me find out for you. So let's see. Trying to find it. I found this I saw this article a long time ago, and now it seems like I can't find it. Where they were finding that there's like a bunch of like, yeah, here we go. I found it. Wonderful engineering. We can start with this article tonight. So this is from Wonderful Engineering. Cracks on the International Space Station are a major issue, says former NASA astronaut. Last month, Russian astronauts noticed expanding cracks in a part of the International Space Station, raising the possibility of exposing the internal atmosphere to space. While NASA has stated that the structural damage does not pose immediate risk, a former astronaut, Bill Shepard, who spoke to Congress on Tuesday, states the cracks are a major issue. Cracks in the International Space Station are a fairly serious problem, and there are probably others we haven't found yet. Both Russian and NASA engineers have looked into the problem with the ISS, which was launched in 1998, and don't exactly understand why these cracks are opening now. In August, Russian cosmonaut Vladimir Solovyov issued a warning concerning cracks in the ISS's Zarya module. The Solovyov is the Russian sector of the ISS's ISS's flight director. NASA has indicated that cracks do not pose a safety risk to astronauts at this time. However, Bill's remarks shed a new light on the matter. Shepard has been in orbit 4 times aboard space shuttles in the year 2000. He led the first crew to the ISS. However, in the meeting, he stressed that he'd learned more about the damage to the station after attending 2 sessions of NASA's ISS Advisory Committee. While the cracks are small, they look like scratches on the surface of an aluminum plate. There's probably something like half a dozen of them. So I guess it's a picture of one of them, something like that. It's not the first time in the ISS's 20-year history that there has been an issue. The space station is showing signs of wear and tear. Some of the station's older components can be found on the Russian side. In September of 2019, the Zvezda module of the ISS began leaking air. The astronauts have living quarters in the module. The hole was eventually patched and no one was hurt. So, yeah. In July, shortly after docking with the ISS, Russia's latest module, Nauka, abruptly began firing its engines. As a result of the 540-degree spin, the ISS flipped upside down. Jeez. So yeah, basically from what I can pick up is the space station's getting old. And so we just kind of have to deal with, or the fact is like the ISS is, like if you think about it with the amount of radiation and micrometeorites and stuff that it's exposed to, it's a surprise it's lasted as long as it has. And so the ISS is sort of like really starting to have trouble. NASA wants to put a space station in orbit of the moon. Yeah, that's the thing, is that like low Earth orbit is sort of like losing its appeal to a lot of NASA's people. So now they're taking much more interest in making lunar stuff, because the next phase of NASA's like big projects is to go to Mars, and they want to get to Mars sometime in the 2030s. So in order to get that set up as part of their plan, they basically have to build a refueling station / like some sort of station near the moon. The idea being that what you can launch into space from Earth's gravitational gravity well is going to be much smaller than the ship that you're going to need to go to Mars. And so whatever ship you're going to need to go to Mars is going to have to be built in space. And having the moon as sort of like a launching off point to do any future Mars mission will be a big thing set up. And also the Chinese are also hot on their trail of developing. They want to develop a base on the moon. So it's going to be a whole thing in the next 2 decades or so. Will the first spaceship to land on the moon in the 21st century be built by a private space exploration company? I doubt it. I think the first spaceship to land on the moon in the 21st century will probably be built by the People's Republic of China. They have the most solid moon mission, and it's already underway. They plan on landing it, I think, in 2033 or something like that. And that's probably the most realistic timeline I could see. And NASA's probably not going to be too far behind. $2028 was the original planned decommissioning, regardless of what Russia does, yeah. I'd imagine that the lunar orbit would have less crap to erode the space station over time, right? Yes and no. There's less space debris. It does mean it is you'll be exposed to a lot of radiation, and also it's a longer trip. Like in the ISS, if something goes wrong, you can land in about an hour and a half. The moon, no matter what happens, it's going to take at least 10 days to get home. So that's the major thing, is that there's a lot less room for mistakes in lunar orbit, just because the distance is a full 10 days of travel. Is there going to be a new space race? Maybe. The thing is that China seems to be developing its space program rather rapidly. But the United States would have to want to... a race needs more than one competitor. And it seems like the U.S. has no interest in, actually, investing money in NASA, because that's bomb money that you're spending right there. They could spend that money on perfectly good new wars, so they won't. It's not like the 1960s where the government wasn't afraid to invest in things and spend money on NASA. But today, justifying a huge budget increase for NASA to compete with the Chinese would be... can you imagine anything like that happening in America's neoliberal hellscape? So no other big competitors. Russia's going to work with China. The ESF is not going to be making its own stuff. ISRO is not going to be going anywhere anytime soon. So really, NASA is all you got. Not to mention the people at ISRO are probably more likely to work with Russia than they are with the United States at this point. Because India and Russia have a pretty close relationship. So at this point, I would think that China's really the only country that's going to do it. And so it might not be a race just because the U.S. might just not compete in it. How the hell do we build a spaceship on the moon? You build it in orbit. You what's it called? You manufacture the components on Earth. You send them piece by piece into space on rockets. Then in lunar orbit, you assemble them like Lego bricks, and then you fly it. Someone says that there's a lot of aluminum on the moon, so they wouldn't have to bring shit. Well, the problem with that is that then you would have to set up a whole bunch of manufacturing capability on the surface of the moon, and I don't think that we are quite at that point yet. I don't think we're really what's it called? I have super high expectations for being able to rapidly develop manufacturing on the moon at this point in that kind of gravity. I don't think we're at that we know how to do that yet. How do you expect NASA to get to the moon? It's currently their program. It's currently within their current budget timeline to develop the program. NASA might land on the moon, but they might go into orbit with like a Dragon module. So if you think that that's like the equivalent of a private space exploration company doing it, but like if NASA hires SpaceX to launch their crew module into space, and then their crew module is the thing that lands, who is that? Is that just space? Just because SpaceX got them into orbit, that doesn't really count as like this being a private venture. And how to get into that an actual ship? There'd be like a docking ring, just like they have with the ISS. American pride can make it happen. Just tell them they're losing to China. I don't know. Like, I don't know if America, even if they were losing their pride. Like, here's the thing: is like America is a very prideful country. I just don't see the United States like being capable at that point. The United States is in such like a bad economic situation and it's not going to get better. The U.S. is a declining superpower. I don't see it having the like resources to field such a thing without like making some severe military budget cuts, which they're completely unwilling to do at this point. The moon has a lot of fuel potential, right? It has a significant amount of helium-3, which I don't know too much about, but apparently it's going to be really important when we do fusion power. So that's like one of the things that people are like really big on. And also just that like we're running out of helium in general right now, which is going to be a problem. So helium from the moon might be like one of our few sources of helium. Because this is fucked up when you think about what we do with balloons. We need helium for like medical devices and like for things like MRIs, and we need it for a bunch of like chemical engineering purposes, and we're fucking filling like balloons with it and this is a resource that is depleting very quickly. When China lands on the moon, will the American right say it's a hoax? I'm sure some people will. Do I use medication for ADHD? Yes, I am on a pill called Wellbutrin, which is typically used for obsessive compulsive disorder and anxiety problems, but it also has an off-label use for ADHD, and so my doctor put me on that because I needed to find an ADHD medication that was not a stimulant, and this one seemed to work. It seems to have done a lot of work for me. Like I feel it made quite a big change in my life when I started taking it a couple months ago. QAnon people would, yeah. I mean, will that be how they deal with their notational pride? Just say it didn't happen. I think that like the government will accept that it happened. I feel like it'll be undeniable. It's just that like I feel like it's just not going to be as big of a media event here. Like what's it called? The next moon mission, because like China has a whole series of moon missions leading to a person on the moon. I think they're doing 20. Let me just check. I'm not Vosh here, so I can actually I actually research things before I state them. But let's check out what the Chinese moon program looks like. and what their timeline looks like. So yeah, okay. So they've done phase 1, which is they've orbited the moon a couple times. They did the Chang'e 1 and 2, which if I remember correctly, they were one of the first people to actually like take pictures of the dark side of the moon, like high res pictures. Phase 3, soft landers and rovers. The Chang'e 2, 3, and 4. One landed in 2013 with a moon rover. Did anybody catch that news when that happened? And the Chang'e 4 in 2018 was also used and landed in 2019 on the far side of the moon. Yeah, there you go. So in 2014, the Chang'e 5T1 went to the moon and it tested it. And then apparently last year, they landed something on the moon and returned it to Earth with 2 kilograms of lunar soil on December of 2020. So that's where we're at now. The next phase is the robotic exploration mission, where they're doing the 6, the 7, and the 8. 2 of them are launching in 2024, which will investigate topography, composition, and subsurface structure of the South Pole. And this mission will return samples to Earth. And another mission that will explore the South Pole for resources. It'll include an orbiter, a lander, a rover, and a mini fly probe. And then in 2027, they're launching the Chang'e 8, which will verify the utilization and development of natural resources, may include a lander, rover, and flying detector, as well as 3D printing experiments using a in-situ resource utilization to test the structure. And then as of 2019, China is reviewing preliminary studies for a crewed lunar mission in the 2030s, and possibly building an outpost near the lunar South Pole with international cooperation. So I don't know how much of a thing that will be, because we don't get space news if it's not from the United States. But yeah, it'd be kind of cool. Did you just say the name of the man bun? I did. I'm sure there's someone who actually knows Mandarin who is probably cringing at the way that I said those names. The UK is planning on sending a spider robot to the moon right now. Meanwhile, my brother can't fill up his car. Yeah, the UK is doing great. How did you get through university while being neurodivergent? I dropped out of school, and it was only this year I was told I might have autism. Good question. Even with ADHD, I have been told that my ADHD case is kind of mild. But furthermore, I have... the way it was described to me is not a way that I'd be comfortable saying, or I would be comfortable believing. So one of the ways that... The way that I was diagnosed with ADHD was that they take a multiple intelligences test, where they basically test your cognitive abilities on a bunch of different ways. And the things... And they showed ADHD because I significantly performed worse in the areas that were related to focus, like quantitative reasoning and another kind of reasoning. I can't remember what it was. The way that they said that I kind of got through school and stuff like that was that basically I was... I kind of compensated for it by being quite above average in some of the other intelligences, which I'm not like I hate that idea of talking about it that way, but that was the way that it was described to me, because I don't really believe in intelligence in that kind of way of measuring it in that kind of a fashion, but it was a thing that was how it was described to me, which makes me think that I somehow learned coping mechanisms through that. And honestly, I was I like university, like undergrad wasn't so bad. I took a pretty low course load. I only took 4 classes a semester, and that helped. And I still like did a lot of essays the day before they were due. I just somehow did well enough to go to grad school. Not the best grad schools, I'll let you know, but I managed to go to grad school. Nothing prestigious though. And then and also I also like almost failed out of high school. So I think that I was only able to do this once I like became an adult, and my like childhood ADHD mutated into adult ADHD, which is always much more mild. So I think the only reason I was able to get through undergrad was because I was a first year at 22, and yeah, like I was older than everybody, and kind of like I don't know. I think that if I had gone at 18, I would have failed out of university pretty badly. Post-secondary is a scam. Yeah, I was also very like, I also like did very ADHD stuff, like almost get almost overload myself to the point where at one point in my undergrad I had my first and only, luckily so far, panic attack, which had to do with the fact that on top of my course load I stacked on a whole bunch of extracurriculars, and yeah, it. I was in so many different ways. I like was really overloaded and really miserable in undergrad, to be perfectly honest. Not only because of school, but and workload, but because of other personal stuff that was going on around me at the time. Stuff that was mostly just me problems that I had to work out about myself that I was not. So yeah, but I was not really on the internet that much those 3 years, so that was good. But when I got to grad school, I realized the way that I was doing these projects was not going to fly. I was not going to get my master's degree treating it like I was an undergrad. So I started really hacking at the ADHD thing. That's when I started seeing a therapist, and that's when I started really focusing on trying to get organized and get my life focused. And basically since then, I have been developing a very sophisticated, like, what do I call it? Like a very sophisticated, I call it a cybernetic executive function, where I have like a very sophisticated set of checklists that basically keeps me on top of everything that I need to be doing at any given time. And that's sort of the thing that helps me. In a non-capitalist society, what age do you think people would start university? Sarah Zedig said it would probably be like early 20s rather than 18. That makes sense to me. I would also think that it would not be standardized like it is now. Like I think that people would go to university when they feel like they're ready. And I think that will generally trend older rather than younger in our current society. So, is there a way to learn this power? I actually, at one point, I was thinking of setting up a side hustle where I was going to I was going to, like, what's it called? Be a consultant helping students get organized. But, I don't know, I never got around to doing it. But yeah, the way that I can totally talk about how I like developed my like cybernetic executive function, but is that a thing that all 73 of you want to hear? Is that something that's interesting to you folks? I don't know. Yeah, it sounds like nobody's super interested, so talk about ancient aliens. I already talk about it a lot. Whoa. And then I got a whole bunch of people saying yes. Tell us. All right. Tell you what. I will finish up the news. I will finish up the news and the questions, and then at the end of the stream, I will use whatever time I have left to talk about how I got myself organized. Does that sound like a fair deal? All right. So yeah, Colin Powell died yesterday. So, you know, crab emojis in chat for that. And, so I know the reason why 255 is grumpy, because the only thing he cares about in my streams is when I answer his specific questions. So Valve banned all blockchain and NFT games from Steam. Also very good news. So we had a couple good news days. And then what we got here? Oh yeah. Fucking this story, man. This is wild. Let me just get this going. So this is a really fucking scary thing. Look at this ad. Buy now, pay later at Domino's. Pay back over 6 weeks at Domino's. Fucking hell. They're financializing food. So that's fucking messy. I hate that so much. So yeah. That's like, what, I don't know what level of capitalism is where you have to pay off your pizza in payments, but there we are. The pizza recession. The other thing too is we got this fucking thing happened today. Look at this. Look at this thing. So it turns out Margaret Atwood is a not so concealed TERF. Isn't that fun? Isn't it super fun to learn that Margaret Atwood, the author of The Handmaid's Tale, turns out to be a turbo TERF? So, yeah. She retweeted an article saying, why can't we use women anymore? The word women anymore. And then when everybody pointed out that, you know, that's not a thing that they say, people have started like showing that she like was going to gender critical conferences and asking people not to say her name and like all sorts of stuff like that. So, yeah. That's fun. I thought Margaret Atwood was I mean, she's been criticized in Canadian literature space for not being the most intersectional of people, been called out for some like race stuff and everything like that. So I guess that's a thing that has been on the radar, but I did not know. I thought Margaret Thatcher. Wow, I thought Margaret Atwood was better than that, but here we are. Thought we already knew she was pretty shite. I did not know that. Let's see. So, oh no, now Canadian will interview her about the ways of the turf. It's going to be a Jordan Peterson all over again. Yeah. Some people are expecting like a whole, like Handmaid's Tale fans and like turfs to like kind of rally around Margaret Atwood in the same way they rallied around J.K. Rowling. So that's going to be fun. All right, next up we got this question. A man from Sweden asks, did Timothy McVeigh in a way win? My understanding is he wished to deter the United States from violent suppression of people he viewed as allies. As far as I know, the U.S. changed their behaviors towards these groups because of the Oklahoma bombing. What do you think? Did he win? I mean, the way that they changed their take on people like him was that they cracked down on them massively. There was definitely like a big change in the way that people like approached like there was a lot of big standoffs at Waco and like in what's it called, Ruby Ridge and stuff like that. That was already prompting a lot of institutional changes that they did not want all of these big violent standoffs. Oklahoma City did show to a lot of people that this wasn't just like a, isolated criminals, but like, a big coordinated violent network. And there was a time, and this is kind of hard to believe, but trust me on this. There was a time in the late 1990s where the biggest terrorist threat in America was like these right-wing militia people, because the Oklahoma City bombing got a lot of really bad press because he killed a lot of children in his bombing. He blew up the building's daycare, and people really did not take well to that. And so a lot of people who might have been traditionally very sympathetic to the militias were turned on them in a big way, and their whatever public cachet they had really burned up. And by 2000, a lot of like the mainstream white power movement was decimated. It was destroyed. And so that's the main thing. So that is, yeah. That was never not the case. I am missing parts of conversations right now. Far right-wing militias are still the biggest threat. They are, but in the eyes of the U.S. government's priorities, it quickly moved to Islamic militants after 9/11, and their priorities regarding controlling the like extreme right has kind of been like has been diminished quite a bit. And also like the far right militia movement had a massive decline in the late 90s and the early 2000s. And yes, right-wing terrorists have always been the biggest threat. Yes, what happened is that the U.S. changed priorities. And I will say that if you were afraid of right-wing terrorism in the early 2000s, it was probably at its nadir, a multi-decade-long nadir. But the thing is that they kind of came back in a big way during the Obama administration. Something about Barack Obama getting elected caused a whole lot of these, they swear up and down that they're not racist militias, to get back into action, to recruit again. Hate groups like the KKK that are also associated with the militia, and like neo-Nazi groups all saw big upticks in membership. You saw new extremist groups like you saw groups like the 3%ers and like other sort of militant right-wing groups sort of pop up during the Obama administration, and that sort of was the beginning of the right-wing organization that really developed into what got Trump elected and what like kind of really built the alt-right. Because like there's a really like fraught relationship between like people who are involved with the current alt-right movement and people in like the past 9/11 was next level too. That is true. 9/11 was the deadliest terrorist attack in human history, so it was pretty brutal. Right-wing terrorism at its rock bottom was still more of a threat than radical Islam is in the U.S. Yep, that is true. So, did Timothy McVeigh win? No, because he didn't set off his what's it called? Apocalyptic. He was trying to prompt an apocalyptic crackdown that would lead the militia people to finally get the civil war that they've been wanting, so that there could be like a white ethno-state being built in the Pacific Northwest and like all that kind of stuff. He did not achieve that goal because his ideas were terrible. So speaking of civil war, do I see the U.S. moving towards civil war? No, not at this point. At this point, I don't see that being a thing in the near-term future. Mostly because of a few, like, not a civil war in the sense of like the American Civil War. Like, the thing is that most civil wars are not like the U.S. Civil War, where there's clearly delineated sides, and both of them have an organized state around them. That's very rare in terms of civil war. And any American Civil War is not going to be like that. There's not going to be a neo-confederacy that builds its own little army. What's going to happen, if anything, is that there's going to be a continued breakdown of the U.S.'s capacity to respond to threats, which is already happening because the U.S. keeps, defunding its infrastructure construction. It starts defunding like all of its basic life support systems, all of its civil society and social security systems. So people in general are being more and more abandoned by the state, and the state is happy to constantly cut back on things. And at some point, they're going to cut themselves so far back that resistance is going to be really widespread, and it's going to be a lot of the infrastructure is going to crumble in a lot of ways. And the U.S. is so big and so populous that even the U.S. military would not be able to control multiple things going wrong all over the country. And so if the U.S. enters civil war, it's going to be because of like multiple violent situations sort of unfolding all at once, and the government sort of losing its ability to really respond to it in any way. In which case you've got something like a lot of like local movements and local resistances and different armies and militias and things like that kind of duking it out for what kind of corner of the U.S. they live in. And that would be more akin to a civil war like the one you saw in Syria. And so, yeah. And then, I guess like Brian McClung, I don't know if you're trying to do a death threat at me or if you have a real, if you're trying to play along with me. But yeah, we also have an entire generation of Iraq and Afghanistan veterans who are trained in deadly warfare and are also, who are also extremely disillusioned with the United States' whole thing because, they fought in 2 pointless wars and ruined a lot of people's lives for nothing. Which can be the source of a lot of groups. So, yeah. Could the US have something similar to the Troubles in Northern Ireland and the rest of the UK? I don't know much about the Troubles, I'll be honest. I can't really speak to what the situation between Northern Ireland and the UK was like, except that the IRA did a bunch of like random violence to try and pressure the UK into returning the County of Ulster back to Ireland. But and at one point they killed Lord Mountbatten. That's about the like limit of what I know about what happened in the Troubles. Do you see Ireland unifying in the near future? It's not impossible. I feel like it's more likely than it's been in a long time, just because of all of the issues with Brexit and the European Union. At some point, the County of Ulster is going to have a better deal joining Ireland with the European Union than the crumbling United Kingdom, kind of falling apart because of Brexit. So I could see it happening. Will it be the right versus the right, though? I think Robert was maybe wrong to think the left would be a significant faction in such a war. Yeah. I mean, it would probably be a lot of... what would be the quote-unquote left in such a conflict would probably be a lot of, just local groups just kind of fighting to stay alive in their own community. It'd be a lot of, there wouldn't be, any, People's Army or anarchist, Federation militia or something like that. It would basically just be it'll just be a lot of what's it called? It'll just be a lot of communes and communities kind of holding out on their own. I could see a lot of that. While there's going to be some right-wing armies. Did I see Trudeau's statement equivocating the far right and the far left? Of course I did, and it was so dumb. Yeah. The 6 counties of the province of Ulster. There you go. Yeah. The hand one, right? Isn't Ulster's flag a hand? Am I wrong on that? For some reason, when I think of Ulster, I think of a red hand on a yellow background. But, that'd be a different thing. You should really fear the veterans in this country that are waking up. Okay. I would rather... I don't know what I should be afraid of. I don't live in the United States, and I have sympathy for the horrible shit that U.S. veterans have been through. So that they were lied to and abused and had their lives put on the line to enrich a few mega corporations and propaganda. So I don't know what you think they're gonna do to me specifically, but I don't know. Do I play video games often? I don't know. It depends upon what you think of as often. I do play video games occasionally. Not lately because I've just been so fucking busy, but I usually play very short bursts. I probably don't play video games for more than 20-minute sessions at a time, and I probably don't play for more than I probably play one 20-minute video game session about every, I don't know, 2, 3, 4 days. So oh, do I got doubles of a question? I thought they were worded different, but, oh, I see it now. Okay. Let's get rid of this one then. Okay, trying to think of the video games I'm playing right now are what video games am I playing right now? Currently I'm doing a playthrough of Breath of the Wild. I've been playing Wildermyth, Doom, Mass Effect 2, and The Witcher 3. And I actually have I gotta focus on one of them and finish that game. Have you considered putting It's Probably Not Aliens on YouTube even if there's no visuals? I mean, usually Scott takes care of that side of the podcast. I'm the person who does the research and writing for the episodes. But yeah, I probably will. We'll probably get it up on YouTube at some point. I know that there's people who like that, so we probably should. Vildermyth, good choice. Yeah, Vildermyth is really fun. I enjoy Vildermyth. I love the like how it develops storylines kind of like procedurally, which I think is pretty cool. Would certain leftists be okay with killing Palestinians if Israel's ruling party was communist? Because the way they talk about Hong Kong protesters shows they don't have that much issue with militarized police states, just what team they're on. That's not much of a question, but I mean, yeah, I think that the thing you're tapping into about, like, you know, defending the people who call themselves communists no matter what they do is definitely an issue. When podcasts are on YouTube, I find them quicker. Yeah. I'll bring it up with Scott after the stream is over. I'll message Scott right now about it. There we go, just so I don't forget. Alright, I'm reading a book that has a slave uprising in it. Okay. So far the book seems to be using the uprising a bit like a zombie plague. Like the main characters, who are free Romans, get to a place, think they're safe, and then the slaves turn on their master and they have to run away again. Am I right in thinking that's kind of gross? Like imagining if you did some same story, but it was set in the South in the 1820s instead of 3rd century Sicily. Yeah? I mean, that does sound a little gross. Especially if it doesn't, like, you know, talk about why the slaves are rebelling or anything like that, so... So, for sure. Seem to ignore the reason China cracked down on Hong Kong is because the military troops were on its border for over a year. Oh boy. Oh. I didn't realize that Brian McClung was sending me death threats. Okay, let's get that guy banned real quick. Oh, J-Lord, when did you send me $2? Thank you. DC Comics has dropped Superman's motto. Well... Gotta wait for... There we go. There we go. Taken care of. Should get a cat cam for the stream. We should. The main thing is that my cats are not in the office right now, specifically because that door is closed. And if my cat was in here, either she would try to scratch at the door to get in or out. But the main thing is that before, when the cats was more regularly in the stream, there was a litter box in my office. There is not one now, and I do not want to have to deal with any accidents that would have come out of that. Yeah. In the book I'm reading at the moment, there's a bit where the slave characters make reference to a figure they consider a hero, but the free Roman characters barely know who they're talking about. The Narration subtly implies they're talking about figures who are venerated in the culture of Roman slaves that free Romans would have no idea about. Is that a real idea in historiography, that slave populations would have culture, myths, and legends that would never come down to us because they'd never be recorded for privileged literate people? The author is a historian, so that bit made me wonder if he was alluding to real theories. That makes sense. Like, there was definitely a well-developed slave culture in America that had its own, like, you know, figures and myths and its own interpretation of religion and all sorts of stuff. So I wouldn't be surprised to see something like that happening in Italy, I guess. Bapa di boopy. The other day I was listening to a liberal podcast where they were talking about the California recall election. Oh boy, how old is this question? Said that the politicians would have the freedom to do initially unpopular things without being... should have the freedom to do unpopular things without being removed from office, because otherwise they can't pursue long-term policy goals that don't produce positive results right away. As an anarchist, I'm curious, what do you think of that argument? I mean, I think it's a bit bullshit, but also it just shows why representative democracy is kind of a broken concept, because if the reason that you do things is because you want to get elected and not because you want to do good things, that's gonna fuck you up. That's gonna get you in trouble. That's gonna lead to a society that's as messed up as the one that we're in now. And that's why, like, you know, maybe we should be more locally autonomous and we shouldn't have, like, a few people who are, you know, dependent on everybody liking them to make all this stuff happen. And this is why maybe we should have direct democracy and participatory communalist democracy, and, like, you know, on a local level where everyone can participate. I don't know. That's just me. That's just me, though. Who's the one who says that? Is that the janitor? He goes by the one janitor, or T1J, and he finishes the video. It's been a long time since I've seen a T1J video, and I feel like he used to end with that's just me, though. But it's been like years. It's been probably a few years since I've watched a T1J video. Have you read Man of Steel, Woman of Kleenex? And it is about how Superman would fucking procreate with Lois Lane without killing her. I only have heard about that on the most recent episode of The Worst Year Ever, and I had never heard of it before. It sounds fucking wild. Any thoughts on the Nova Scotia PC Party appearing to be more to the left of the Nova Scotia Liberal Party so far? I mean, I'm not surprised. The thing is that the progressive conservatives and the liberals in general are so close in politics that it's not surprising when they, like, cross over like that. Like, to me, the conservatives and the liberals in Canada are, like, virtually identical political parties at this point. So I don't see why that would be a problem with, what's it called? I don't see why there would be a, it happening in Nova Scotia would be anything exceptional. What are some examples of American slave myths? Well, I don't know American ones, but there's a lot of established ones in, like, Haiti. Like, all of voodoo is basically, like, you know, Haitian slave culture. There's, like... the one thing I can point out is that there's a distinct form of black, like, cuisine that developed out of slavery. There, like a lot of, like, kind of southern comfort food comes out of that tradition. But, like, there's been a lot of work to kind of dig into a lot of, like, you know, slavery era culture. Let me just... Because the thing is, like, when you're enslaved, like, it's not like you stop living, and you're very much, like, segregated from the people who are upper class from you, because you're literally property. So yeah, you do spend a lot of time developing your own stories and your own things. Yeah. The institution of slavery usually try to deny its victims native cultural identity. Torn out of their cultural milieu, they were expected to abandon their heritage and adopt at least part of their enslavers' culture. Nonetheless, studies have shown that there were aspects of slave culture that differed from the master culture. Some have been interpreted as a form of resistance to oppression, while other aspects were clearly survivals of native culture in the new society. Like one good example is like slave Christianity had a lot more emphasis on like stories like the story of Exodus, where there was a lot of people named Moses, a lot of black people named Moses during the slavery period because, you know, Moses breaking people out of slavery, for example. But let's, yeah. Other examples would probably be Santeria. That's another kind of like Caribbean American like religion thing. Songs and spirituals, the sort of like Afro-American like music and dance and like their way of doing like worship and things like that. That's its own thing. Afro-American stories and songs often featured the devil, who is a demon and a trickster, terrifying, a friend in need, and a source of mirth. So yeah, there's some cool stuff in here. I was planning when the Voodoo video back in 2016 did so well. At one point, I was thinking of making a video on Santeria, and then I never got around to it. I probably should. I don't know. I feel like my channel's I feel like the times no longer call for me to make cool videos about things, and now I should like. Every one of my videos has to be about like a a very important subject or whatever. Yeah, zombies are part of Haitian myth. Yes, that is true. Are religion videos still in your wheelhouse? Kind of. I made a sort of treaty with Tordesillas with Cogito, where Cogito's doing the mainstream religions, and I'm supposed to be doing the more niche religions. But I mean, like, I wouldn't be against it, especially now that I'm at 100K, but I don't even know if that's what my audience would want anymore. My last like, really big religion video was my Baron Samedi video. And that video did very poorly, although it did very well in, like, the long term. Like, it did poorly when it came out, but it had a very long tail. And a lot of my, like, videos that are less, like, on, like, a topical subject and more on something, like, that I think is interesting and, like, a more educational content, that stuff always does less good when it first comes out, but does better in the long term. So maybe I can, like, start with that or something like that. Hey, thank you for the $10 super chat. Would I do a video on pirates? Well, shocked to life 561. Pirates have been a video topic I have wanted to do for a very long time. It is a video topic that I have entertained and thought about and backed away from and rethought about over and over again. And I kind of wanted to give some space because there is a video by Non-Compete about pirates that I didn't want to step on. And if I was going to work on something about pirates, I'd probably want to work with somebody who's better into like the scene of like Caribbean stuff. So I'd probably like maybe talk to like St. Andrew or something like that. So yeah, pirates would be one that I'd like to do. Maybe I'll add that to my list. Because I really liked working with St. Andrew, and I would like to give him... St. Andrew is like one of the YouTubers that I'm like... I really like, and I'm really pissed off that he doesn't get as many like subscribers and views as he should be getting. That's my take on St. Andrew. St. Andrew is like one of my favorite YouTubers that I am always shocked that he has so few subscribers. What about a high-level one on Catalonia? Possibly. He has appeared in the worst year ever with Robert and Company. St. Andrew did? That's fucking awesome. Oh man, I'm so happy for him. What episode did he show up on? I thought I would have heard that if he was on it. It Can Happen Here. Oh, okay. Is it recent? So I think I listened to It Can Happen Here. I skipped some episodes, but maybe that was one that I skipped, so I gotta go back and find it. God damn. St. Andrew got a call out there he didn't guess. Okay. Oh, why you should know about Solar Punk. Yeah, I probably should have listened to that episode. Because, yeah, St. Andrew did that whole Solar Punk episode. Yeah. Kind of mad that Robert Evans seems to be familiar with, like, every anarchist on YouTube except for yours truly. Gotta say. Hey, thanks, TS.
Not me.
I did not know that Vosh disliked St. Andrew. I mean, it makes sense, because St. Andrew does research, and that, you know, that's not really Vosh's style, you know? Alright. In the book, reading a moment, there's a bit where the slave characters make reference to a figure they consider... Oh, we already did that one. Alright. We got a couple memes. And then I will go into how I do the thing. So, I wanted to show you guys this one, because it was good. Alright. How do I... That's about it. It was great. I'll show it again. Oh man, good old internet. Alright, stop that. 1, 2, 2, and oh yeah, this. I gotta show you guys this. This is fucking wild. Has anyone seen this thing? What is Vosh's style? Read like the first sentence of a Wikipedia article, maybe read the definition on dictionary.com, and then assume that you know literally everything you need to know about a topic. Anyways. So this is fucking hilarious. So it's a children's book about a rabbit that travels back in time to medieval Europe and gets everyone hyped about blockchain. Oh man, it's so good. So good. All right, let's do this. Let's do this. So, but how? I've never seen you before in my domain. I'm from the future, and the Duke de Bunny is in the blockchain of archival information under my domain name. The Duke listening to Sphinxing Rabbit something for several hours with great interest. The Sphinxing Rabbit explained everything about mutually distributed ledgers over supper. This is the most cursed fucking kids book ever. The Duke replied, I do believe it is because they have poor gene. We do not, since we are a fancy breed of rabbit. Poor Gene, don't be ridiculous. They can be educated and operate using blockchain just as we can. Fuck. The Duke described how technology is the way forward, and the people understood and agreed. The Duke de Bunny also commissioned a charming book of hours for several possible blockchain applications using smart ledgers. Oh my god. Oh, fucking dead. Dead. Oh, man. What the hell am I looking at? That is the correct answer. Oh, man. Is it actually possible to do blockchain without computers? Apparently, theoretically, yes. Apparently, there was like a blockchain guy or a Bitcoin guy who ended up going to prison, and he developed a cryptocurrency for prison that was based on everybody having ledgers all around, and like multiple ledgers in the prisons and stuff like that. So he was trying to do like blockchain with like kind of like the trading of goods within prisons. Fucking cursed as shit, obviously, but yeah. All right. So that's all the stuff I got in my notes. So I can close that now. Okay. So I did, all right. So I did mention that we could talk a little bit about how the kind of study stuff I use to get over my, to try and help me kind of overcome my neurodivergence to do well in school, at least during my, like, I sent in a question. All right, let's see. Let's see what we got here. Okay, what do we do about the red browning problem? The best part is we try to get our... What's it called? We should probably get our priorities as leftists away from trying to rehabilitate people who are in a racist death cult, and focus on things, and also just be a lot more wary of like anti-social justice leftists in general, and try and find the grifters who are just trying to do whatever it takes to get attention. I don't think red brownism is much of an issue like in activist movements and stuff like that, but I do think that this is part of the growing pains of a more of a left that is a lot bigger than it was when I was young. And yeah, just stop being like, I just want to stop being so accepting of people who have really shitty opinions. I don't have an answer at this point, and if I do have an answer, I'm going to make a video about it. So because this is a topic I've been really wanting to make a video about. What else we got? I believe that we will have a decline in workers for the first time since the Industrial Revolution when not sending them to a war. Given the fact that capitalism used globalism to crush worker power in the West in the 70s, how do you believe capitalism will respond to the shrinking workforce but more consumers, retirees? Probably automation. That's kind of how Japan has tried to weather it, creating more robotic systems and replacing people with algorithms, whether or not it will work better. That would be my guess. Did you hear that they found a 900-year-old sword in the Mediterranean? I did, yeah. They did. They found it was like a Crusader sword or something. Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. All right, what we got here? Jam the Guy. How long do you think major countries will start recognizing the Islamic Emirate of Afghanistan, or will it linger as an unrecognized state? I think it'll get recognized at some point if, like, the way that people are talking about it, it's like we're not ready to acknowledge them yet, but I think at some point they'll be acknowledged. It'll happen. That's a Mia question. I keep hearing people in the States talking about civil war, with Americans being as unhealthy as they are. Do Americans even have the physical capabilities of waging a civil war? I mean, yeah. I mean, even an unhealthy guy with a AR-15 can kill some people, so that's that. Don't need to be in shape to have a gun. All right. Now I will talk a little bit about how I do all of my like stuff. I don't know. I've never done a presentation on this before, so I will. Do you actually what Vosh says about stuff where he criticizes him, or do you go by the people's responses to him? I respond to the things that I hear, the things he say, but no, I don't sit through his like daily 7-hour videos to talk about it. No. Do I think ISIS-K will escalate into a conflict against the Taliban? I don't know. I don't know how big ISIS-K really is. I don't know if they've got the numbers, you know? So, so one of the things that I do, probably one of the most influential books that I read to really get myself, to really get my like brain thinking around how to take care of, how to manage. It's basically the issue with people with ADHD, or at least my ADHD, was that I often just did not know what is the next thing that I should be doing right now. And I'm always like, I don't know how to prioritize and figure out what is this. Should I be focusing? Should I be working out right now? Should I be playing a video game? Should I be doing schoolwork? Should I be cleaning my apartment? Like, what is the thing I should be doing? And like, that was always the thing that tripped me up, and I never knew what to do, and I would get paralyzed and do nothing. So the first thing that I did is I read a really, really useful book on organization that I recommend to everybody, which is called Getting Things Done. I don't use it exactly the way that it's written in the book, but it has a lot of very good principles that I think to go on, which is one, making sure that every single task that you need to do that takes more than 2 minutes is written down somewhere where you will be able to collect it. Two, to have your intake of new tasks coming from as few what are called inboxes as possible. So if you can have as many ways to consolidate the way that things find their way to you of things that need to be done, all the better. Like I have, for example, who's that book by? Let me find out. It's like some business guy. Like he's not like some like, you know, person. But out of my decolonization questions, I'd rather have you not skip them, but I think I understand why you might have. Yeah, I don't really want to have a second night of talking about why decolonization is good. All right. Getting things done. It's a guy named David Allen. So David Allen is the name of the author of Getting Things Done. So that's one thing that I do, is that I try to get as many try to get as many things from different sources into as few inboxes as possible. One of my things is an app that I've been using. It cost me a little bit of money, but it was totally worth it, called Brain Toss. Brain Toss is an app where you can take a picture, make a voice note, or write a note, and just send it, and it gets sent to my email. So if I ever have a random idea that I want to make sure that I have, if I see a picture of something that I'm interested in, or if I have a random idea that I want to write down, I put it in Brain Toss and I send it to my inbox. That I liked. I like that one a lot. You and CGP Grey have a shared favorite author. Yeah, I think it was I learned about him through him, so that would make sense. So it's a good book. It's a good start, but not an end for me. The other thing that I did, so once you get like all of that, so all of those inboxes to you, so you have like one place. For me, it's my actual email. My email inbox is a mix of emails, notes, Google alerts, like anything that that I come across, I try to put it into there. So that's that. And then I once a day, and only once a day, because I don't regularly check my email. I make a rule to only check my email once a day. And when I check my email, I just go through every single email and take care of what needs to be taken care of. Do you think that self-help books and videos are beneficial? Sometimes they can be. Most of the time they're not. Most self-help books are pretty pointless. But there are a few that that have taught something very useful. And this is like a self-help book that teaches you an entire system for how to be organized. And I feel like it's helped me quite a bit. As for like after I get things and process them, I then put them into a to-do system. And my to-do system is called, like, there's a lot of different ones, and I've tried a bunch of them. And the best that I can say is that I use one called My Life Organized. And I've been using it for a long time. I've been using it now for probably like longer than I've had Step Back anyway. What I like about it is that it allows me to make it allows me for a whole lot of customization of all of my tasks, because I like doing stuff like sorting through priority, or having like priority based on importance, having priority based on urgency, and having those be two different things, and having deadlines that have times and stuff like that on them, and complex repetition patterns and all that kind of stuff. I played with it a lot. And also having projects that can be templates so that you can copy and paste template projects. So like, for example, I have a big checklist. Like, I think it's like 200 or 300 steps long to make a Step Back video. And I, bring that template into action every single time I go to make a video. And I have it for all sorts of stuff. And it works really well for me. And I use that. And it has a Wi-Fi sync with my phone. So if I'm not at the computer, I just use the app on my phone for the same program, and I manage to sync between the two and work on that. So that works. That was my system. If you're on a Mac, I think there's a program called OmniFocus that's sort of similar. If I remember correctly, OmniFocus is actually a lot more feature rich, and it's kind of like better developed. My Life Organized is kind of bare bones, but it works for what I do. So there's that. For a long time, for many years, until like maybe actually a few months ago, I actually only used the desktop version of it, and I didn't have the phone thing set up because I thought I couldn't set it up that way. And so my entire like productivity system was like tied to my computer, which was not the best situation. Now that I've got my phone, so. So that's like the main thing that I use to organize my task list. And then when I wake up in the morning, the thing is that I have also, this is a thing that I do, and this is like me just being utterly insane, which is that I have not only used My Life Organized to organize my work, but I've basically worked in every single other. Does it have a built-in prioritization system? Yes, because you can customize the way that your task list is sorted. And there are a bunch of different factors. You can factor due date, you can factor urgency and importance and amount of work. There's all sorts of stuff. The thing about My Life Organized that I like so much is that there's just a billion things that you can tweak and play with to make it work exactly the way you want to. And that's what I really needed. So that's what worked. That's what works for me. So I've had a lot of fun with it. Like my current setup, let me see. I don't know if I should show. I can show this. This is fine. How much does it cost? I bought it for something like $40 maybe when it came. And every time they make like a brand new version, I have to like get an upgrade that I think is about $20. But it's not monthly. It's there's no subscription. You just buy it and you own it, which I like a lot. They have like a subscription-based like online cloud way of swapping your like updating between your phone and different computers. But I just use the Wi-Fi one because the cloud doesn't allow for files as big as mine, because I definitely have way more tasks than this program was designed to use, and people have issues with that. But here, let me show you my version of it. So this is my task list for today. It's already pretty much over at this point, but for this I've got taking garbage to the curb, brush my teeth, like I put everything in Skillshare, we create edu, then D&D prep, and this is all D&D prep because I haven't gotten around to it today, so I have to like I have to do a whole bunch of D&D prep for today. That's what I'm gonna be doing after the stream is over. And then I've got another one that's for when work is over for the day, and I just have to like click through things. And this is all stuff for me to keep up to date on. This is like long-term stuff that I can do when I've finished all my work for the day. And then yeah, it's all structured like this. Like let me see if I can collapse it all. Here are the templates. I've got work templates. I've got D&D templates. I've got stuff for traveling, like how to prepare and book and everything for trips. Drawing for minis, for painting minis. Yeah, work, social, personal development. So I've got like all sorts of wild stuff, and all of it is organized in a way so that I can kind of take care of things. But like really, this is what I did so that I could really get all of this stuff out of my brain and just focus on whatever work I'm doing. Do I have issues with losing interest in projects midway through? Like you start researching a video and decide you no longer care about the subject and want to make a different video? I have. That was definitely a thing I did a lot more when I was younger. This sort of structure kind of lets me get through those ugly moments and kind of keep going. But I will say that that kind of issue has resulted in me, like, I have not been able to write a book. Like one of the things that I'm trying to do right now is write a book. That's like the next big project I like to try and do. Now that I've gotten my YouTube channel to 100,000 subscribers, now that I've gotten now that I've gotten a podcast up and running, the next and once like my son's a little bit older, the next project I'm going to want to do is try to write a book, and that it means you have to like, you know, sit in one subject for years, and I haven't been able to get myself to that point yet. So that's like the next thing on my mind. But like the thing about me that I'm always interested in is just, here's my list, here's the next thing I need to do, it needs to be done by 11 p.m., I'll do it. And that is taking the garbage out to the curb because tomorrow's garbage day. But at the end of the day, this is how my system works. This is how I manage things. And you can see I've got like importance here and urgency and times, and there's repeating stuff and projects and all dependencies. Like if you want to have a dependency, like I've got like, you know, the dryer, you don't go to put your clothes in the dryer until you've put them in the washing machine and about an hour has passed so that it can wash. And it's got stuff for low focus. Low focus is stuff that I can do while listening to something, like watching YouTube videos or something like that. Listenable is stuff that I can listen to. Different contexts, which is like different sort of like places that I can do the work, so that if I, for example, wanted to, I don't know, go to the basement, if I had to go do something in the basement, I have here are all the tasks in the basement, so I can go and see all those things. So that's kind of like, you know, that's sort of the way that I do it. What's it called again? It's called My Life Organized. But this is what keeps me like keeping everything on top of it. This is how I like figure out what is the next thing that I need to be doing. Someone asked me to describe decolonization, and I can do that. Sure. Decolonization is the process of removing the political structures created through colonization. So basically trying to rebuild, trying to tear down colonial infrastructures and put in governance that is based on the indigenous or run by the indigenous people who the land was taken from. Like, for example, the fact that the colonial nation of Rhodesia was destroyed and was replaced by an indigenous-led government. To an extent, South Africa. South Africa was had minority rule overthrown and replaced with indigenous-led governments. Same with India. That's all decolonization is the process of doing those things. Does this kind of limit your ability to live a spontaneous existence? Probably. What do you mean by spontaneous existence, though? Like, I still get random ideas. I still go for... I find myself getting a lot of, like, random things through walks and stuff like that. And, you know, as long as I've gotten everything that needs to get done in a day, then for the most part I can do, like, everything else is sort of, like, secondary. Like, I have things that are of, like, medium urgency are things that I should get done today, but don't need to get done today. So, because I could do them tomorrow if I needed to. As an example. But, like, yeah, I guess, like, do you ever put stuff on there like take a nap? I used to have a nap put in there, but I've found that I haven't needed a nap enough in a little while. I have a lot more energy these days because I've been doing a lot more exercise and stuff like that. I do have stuff for like going to the gym and everything like that as well. But yeah. Is decolonization different for countries that are colonized but no longer a colony? So like settler colonies. I think that decolonization is still a process that needs to happen in those countries. And in many ways, it's about tearing down these... They're still colonial countries and just need to be turned... Like, they need to be restructured to work under indigenous systems of power. Like, in an ideal world, if we were to decolonize North America, there would not be a country called the United States and a country called Canada. Those countries would be... dissolved and turned into, like, would be structured around like the indigenous nations that still exist. As for like also the take a nap thing, I also have tasks here that are not about work. Oh yeah, Mexico too. Yes, like I have lists here to also do stuff that, because like the thing about me is that I also get into moods where like there are types of leisure activities that I won't do unless I'm reminded to do them. Like stuff like watching TV and like catching up on YouTube. Those are like things that I won't like just remember to do unless I like actively go and do them. So I have even like rotations of like things that I do for fun on here as a way to like manage my what I do with my downtime. But I only follow that if I really want to, and if I don't know what to do next. Because my issue is always that I didn't know what to do next. What's the thing I should be doing right now? And making time for me to kind of relax and enjoy myself is also a part of it. Although not today. All right, we got about 6 minutes left. What can we talk about? What do we got? I think you should add some minor crimes on your list, oh boy. I've got an idea for you. Make a list of leisure activities to create a balance of physical, social, cognitive, and emotional activities. Here, you know, here's like an ultimate neurodivergent thing that I do that I think you'll find pretty amusing. I have, as part of this thing, I have a list. You might have seen on there. Let me see if I can get there. Yeah. Here we go. You might have seen on here things like how I've got Mia, and this is my friend Yimin, on the list. And this is literally stuff I have for friends that I want to keep in touch with. Stuff that I want to keep in touch with, or people that I want to keep in touch with, and it reminds me to reach out to them because I am really, really, really bad at like keeping in touch with my friends. So I literally do stuff like that. And I do have, like, you know, for activities, I do have stuff like, I have reminders to go to the gym. I have reminders to you know, I have reminders of those kinds of things. I don't know what emotional activity would be, though. In random news, I tried canning for the first time recently. Interesting. How was canning, Jennifer? Crying is an emotional activity? Sure. I don't know exactly how I would, like, write a task to go cry, but, you know. Yeah. I'm just glad to, like, you know, really come down. This has been an absolutely insane day, so. Meditation's one. I used to have one, I kind of stopped doing this, but I used to have a task where every day I would take like 10 minutes to just be bored, just sit and not look at my phone and not do anything. But I don't really know what kind of emotional activity I could put onto something. Like, is that creativity? I've got a bunch of creativity stuff, but I'm obviously not super in touch with my emotions, which is probably not great. Dissolving the U.S. requires support from everyone. I mean, I don't know exactly. I don't know how that would happen. I don't know what the structure of that would be, personally. But that's not like, you know, that is an end goal, not like the only goal in and of itself. So, you know, doing stuff like dismantling colonial systems wherever they are is, like, you know, part of the land back sort of discussion. How do you choose your gym? There are so many to choose from. I don't want to go where people are mean. Well, Laura, you live in Toronto, so you have a lot more choices. I live in London. That is not a very car-friendly city. So I had a choice of 2 gyms that are close enough that I can walk. And I chose the one that was cheapest, which is I chose the YMCA. So I got a membership at the local YMCA. Has journaling been mentioned? I do have a bullet journal on top of this, so that's one. And I do have some stuff for music as well. I do have my gratitude journal in London, Ontario. Yes, I am. I do live in London, Ontario. Yeah. I do have a gratitude journal, which I use to, like, you know, talk once a day to kind of think through 3 things that I'm grateful for in this world to kind of set myself up for a day where I'm more positive. So. But yeah. The friend thing is one of those things that, like, I don't tell a lot of them because to non-neurodivergent people, the idea that I have a task that reminds me to reach out and talk to them feels like it's a thing that I don't want to do, but it is. I'm doing it precisely because I don't want to forget, and that I treasure their friendship enough that I want to keep, like, you know, I want to keep keeping things going. Dune opinions. I am excited. I am planning on doing, what's it called? I'm planning on seeing Dune this weekend, so I'm pretty excited. I like Dune a lot. And, yeah, I'm excited to see it this weekend. Why can't you just go from capitalist nation states directly to commune federations? This would be the same thing, potentially. Be pretty similar. Like, a lot of indigenous nations don't really organize themselves around the sort of, like, European-style nation states, so I do think that a lot of indigenous nations would be pretty close to dismantling what we would consider states in our current situation. So there's that. All right, it is 9 o'clock, so we're gonna raid somebody now. All right, let's raid left flank. That's always good value. But yeah, guys, this has been wild. Obviously, as you guys saw, I gotta go take out the garbage, so that's my next thing. But yeah. Everybody, I'll be back on Monday. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. And I'll be way less stressed out by then. So, peace.